Hello and welcome to tonight's webinar. Once again, I'm your host, Sterling McKinley, and tonight we're talking about how you can make the most of Google search, and that is so important for your business. Once again, this webinar is brought to you by the U.S. Chambers and U.S. Black Chambers, and also by Grow with Google. So once again, tonight, this is the time to answer those questions about search, about social media, digital marketing. This is really all about you. So I want you to really just feel free to just type in those questions. The more questions, the better. So let me share my screen with you and we'll get started. So once again, tonight, we're talking about how you can reach more customers by using Google. And, if you think about it, Google is number one way to find customers. That's where people go to find your business. So tonight we're talking about just the importance of showing up in the Google search, because once again, that's how the majority of customers are finding your business. So let's check in real quick. I want to make sure everybody is awake and part of the call. So as usual, I have a little activity. If you're ready to get found by more customers, I want you to go in the chat and you type in Google Me Baby. If you're ready to get more customers, type in Google Me Baby. And once again, like I said, being on Google is so important because that's the number one way customers are gonna find you. And think about it now, when somebody hears about a new product, a new company, your name, the first thing they do is they Google you. So once again, if you agree with that and you're ready to find more customers by using Google, I want you to type in Google Me Baby. Okay. You got a comment here. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's get started. So I didn't say this earlier, but I'll say this for the first time. I think Google is the new phone book. And thinking back to my childhood, my dad always had phone books around the house. He had the white pages, he had the yellow pages, and he was always really big about his phone book. And this is a book. This is not the phone book, but it is an example. And you can't even find phone books anymore. I went to the thrift store yesterday. I couldn't find one. Probably if I go to my parents' house, I can find a phone book, but they're hard to find. And phone books are going, out of style because back in the day, you want to add in the phone book, and the books were huge. They probably had 20, 30,000 pages in those books, and a customer had to go through that book, flip through, find your business, see an ad, and hopefully call you. And that was really tough. And it's tough because why the phone book is really general. I mean, you had every company in there. Yes, they were split up by order, but it's very hard to find a company. And I think Google now is the new phone book. When people want to call you, come to your store, find your products, your service, the first thing they're going to do is Google your company, come to your website, view your website. If it looks good, it makes sense, then they're going to call or email you for service. So once again, Google is the new phone book, and that's why it's so important to show up high within the Google search. So search is very important. Search is responsible for 53% of all traffic to your website. I'll say that again. Nearly half of all the customers that come to your website are coming via search. That's a search done primarily in Google, maybe Yahoo, maybe Bing, any of those networks, any of those engines, and they're coming to your site. 51%. So that's a huge number. So I think it lets us know that we have to really be aware of what we have on our website and make sure that we have websites that are ranking high within the search. And, one thing I'll break down tonight too is just not ranking for your name, but ranking for the terms, the phrases that the customers are going to type in to find your business. That's so important because sometimes they might not know the name of your company or the name of you, but they're going to type in a phrase or a keyword that's going to pull up and find your business. So once again, half of your customers are coming to your site from a search engine. So it's so important to make sure that you have the right information, the right terms, the right keywords on your website, because that's how people are going to type in and people are going to find your company. So tonight's agenda, I'll keep it light. So first, we're going to talk about how Google works. So I think there's a lot of mystery around how Google works, but we're going to break down kind of how it works. What are the basics and what happens when somebody searches for your company online? Next, we're going to talk about how you can reach more customers with search engine optimization. Now, that's also known as SEO. All that means is, trying to rank higher in Google, higher for your keywords or your terms. So we're going to talk about how you can reach more customers by using SEO. Next, we're going to talk about ways to improve your SEO or search engine optimization. And SEO is a competition. It's about ranking higher than your competitors and constantly going back and forth. So I'm going to give you some tips, some really simple tools and tips you can use to rank higher on Google search. And then as always, we're going to have a recap where I'm going to recap what I talked about and give you some additional resources. So once again, the first section is talking about how Google works. So rather than explain it to you, this is kind of different. At least for me, I have a video from Google. It's about 5 minutes long, and it really explains how Google works. So it's 5 minutes, but once again, this is a great job of explaining how search engine optimization works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit play. The video is going to play. Then after the video is done, we'll talk about it. So hold on 1 second. I'll pull the video up for you. All right, here we go.
Every day, billions of people come here with questions about all kinds of things. Sometimes we even get questions about Google search itself, like how this whole thing actually works. And while this is a subject entire books have been written about, there's a good chance you're in the market for something a little more concise. So let's say it's getting close to dinner and you want a recipe for lasagna. You've probably seen this before, but let's go a little deeper. Since the beginning, back when the homepage looked like this, Google has been continuously mapping the web, hundreds of billions of pages, to create something called an index. Think of it as the giant library we look through whenever you do a search for lasagna or anything else. Now, the word lasagna shows up a lot on the web. Pages about the history of lasagna, articles by scientists whose last name happened to be lasagna, stuff other people might be looking for. But if you're hungry, randomly clicking through millions of links is no fun. This is where Google's ranking algorithms come into play. First, they try to understand what you're looking for, so they can be helpful even if you don't know exactly the right words to use or if your spelling is a little off. Then they sift through millions of possible matches in the index and automatically assemble a page that tries to put the most relevant information up top for you to choose from. Okay, now we have some results. But how did the algorithms actually decide what made it onto the first page? There are hundreds of factors that go into ranking search results, so let's talk about a few of them. You may already know that pages containing the words you search for are more likely to end up at the top. No surprise there. But the location of those words, like in the page's title or in an image's caption, those are factors too. There's a lot more to ranking than just words. Back when Google got started, we looked at how pages link to each other to better understand what pages were about and how important and trustworthy they seemed. Today, linking is still an important factor. Another factor is location, where a search happens. Because if you happen to be in Ormea, Italy, you might be looking for information about their annual lasagna festival. But if you're in Omaha, Nebraska, you probably aren't. When a web page was uploaded is an important factor too. Pages published more recently often have more accurate information, especially in the case of a rapidly developing news story. Of course, not every site on the web is trying to be helpful. Just like with robocalls on your phone or spam in your email, there are a lot of sites that only exist to scam, and every day scammers upload millions more of them. So just because instantvirusdownload.net lists the words lasagna recipe 400 times, that doesn't mean it's going to help you make dinner. We spend a lot of time trying to stay one step ahead of tricks like these, making sure our algorithms can recognize scam sites and flag them before they make it to your search results page. So let's review. Billions of times a day, whenever someone searches for lasagna, or resume writing tips, or how to swaddle a baby, or anything else, Google software locates all the potentially relevant results on the web, removes all the spam, and ranks them based on hundreds of factors like keywords, links, location, and freshness. Okay, good time to take a breath. This last part is about how we make changes to search, and it's important. Since 1998, when Google went online, people seem to have found our results pretty helpful. But the web is always changing, and people are always searching for new things. In fact, 1 in every 7 searches is for something that's never been typed into the search box before, by anyone, ever. So we're always working on updates to search, thousands every year. Which brings up a big question. How do we decide whether a change is making search more helpful? Well, one of the ways we evaluate potential updates to search is by asking people like you. Every day, thousands of search quality raters look at samples of search results side by side, then give feedback about the relevance and reliability of the information. To make sure those evaluations are consistent, the raters follow a list of search quality evaluator guidelines. Think of them as our
All right. That video was kind of long, so I cut it short. But I want to hear from you. What did you think about that video? What things stood out about it? And what questions do you have about Google search? In those comments, just type those in the chat box and I'll respond to them. So we'll pause for a second. But once again, what do you think about that video? What questions do you have about search? I'll take time now and answer those questions. Feel free to type in those questions in the chat box. What did you think about that video? And in general, what questions do you have about search, engine optimization? How does SEO work? Now's the time to tap in chat box and ask me those questions. So while you're typing, I'll just give my take on it. So video one was kind of long, but I think it did a good job of really explaining how Google search works. And, it really is a competition. And, it's about having the information on your website that customers are typing in. And that's why it's so important because, once again, Google search is the primary way that people are finding your business. So it's very important to have that. I have a few comments here. Says very helpful. Yes, it was a little long, but helpful. And once again, one of the things that I stress in all my webinars is the more you understand a topic, the better results you're going to have. So thank you for that comment. Have one here. Let's see. Excellent. Learned a lot. Okay, great. Glad you enjoyed it. Got a question here. Let's see what we got. How do you learn about the location of words and links? Good question. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying, the location of words, but one thing that search is big on, Google is always going to show people the things that are nearest to them. So a lot of times people go on Google search, they might type in dentist or florist near me, or in Baltimore, in Texas, in Houston. And what Google does is they try to find websites that list that location in it. So one thing I always stress is in your website, be sure to list your location. Say that you're an accountant in Dallas, Texas, that you're a lawyer in St. Louis, because once again, search is really tied to location. One more thing we'll talk about in our next webinar is Google My Business. Google My Business is the map listing that shows up. And we'll talk more about that later, but that's a great way to be targeted. So once again, it's looking at the location of your business. When you do a search, it's showing that person location is close to them, because the thought is people want things that are near them in their neighborhood. So if a company is close to me, chances are if I do a search, it's going to show me those companies that are nearest to my location. Great question. I got a comment here. Let's see, good to know Google was once that had the scammers. Yeah, I agree. It is a constant process staying ahead of the scammers. I get calls on my phone every day, robocalls, and always trying to fight them off is a never-ending job. Let's see. Are there any words to stay away from in terms of keywords? Mental health. That's a good question. I would say no if the keyword has something to do with your business. So once again, if you're selling hot dogs, you shouldn't have the word hamburgers throughout your website. So There's no keywords to stay away from, but I would say, make sure you use keywords that are relevant to your business. So one thing that people do is called keyword stuffing. That's where they put in this random keywords, hoping that somebody types in. Now, Google actually will kind of penalize you for that. So if Google sees that you're putting in keywords that are not relevant to your business, or keyword stuffing, they're going to penalize your website. So you don't get penalized for certain keywords, but make sure the keywords you list are relevant to your business. Because if they're not, you will definitely get blocked and get less traffic to your website. Let's see. One more question here. Keywords that I use too much. Not sure what you're saying, but but yeah. One thing I'll say too is with your keywords, try to be. You want to be general and you want to have unique keywords, and we'll talk about that later. But there's something in SEO called long tail keywords. So people are not typing in just lawyer; they're typing in lawyer in Houston, Texas, that specializes in auto accidents. So I think the more detailed you can be in your keywords and what's your website, the better, because people aren't doing a general search. They're trying to find somebody that does a certain service. So if you are using keywords, yeah, you don't want to say lawyer, 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 lawyer over and over again. Yeah, you want to insert your keywords into your copy, but don't, beat a dead horse. Don't say it over and over again. So yes, it is important to use keywords, but use them in a way to where it's not overly aggressive, where it fits the flow of the copy. So great question. Let's see here. I have some more questions. Let's see. It says, does it matter where you place keywords on your page? Good question. Yes and no. And we'll talk about this more later. But one thing you want to do on your website is in every web page has a title. So you want to make sure that every title on your website is unique. So every title shouldn't say the name of your company. It should say about us, and it should describe what's on that page. So that's very important to place some of those keywords in your title. Um, if you want to get into it, place those keywords in your description of the website, because I'll show you later, but when we do a search for a company, what you see on Google, you're seeing the name of the website, and underneath that, you're seeing the description. So that's a great place to put keywords, because Google is looking at the title and the description, and that's where you're going to show within Google. So you want to make sure that that description and that title is speaking to your customers. So if you sell hot dogs, it should say the title should be hot dogs in Tampa, Florida. And the description should be, we sell the best hot dogs in Tampa, Florida. They're mouth-watering, nutritious, and affordable. Something like that. A unique title that's going to make somebody click on that link and come to your website. So that's a great question. And we'll cover that more a little bit later. Great. So we'll move on back to the slides here. So what I want to do is really kind of show you the different parts of Google, because once again, it's important to understand how it works. So there's three parts. There's paid search, there's Google My Business, and there's also organic search. So let's do a live search, and I'll walk you through kind of what you will see. Okay, so right here, let's make this bigger. Hold on one second. Let me make sure you can see this. It's always fun doing live live searches. Hopefully this goes well. So the example I use is lawyers. So let's say you typed in lawyers into Google. You'll see lawyers right here. Okay. Now, if you scroll down right here, you see this section right here that says ads. Now, these are paid ads. That means this company, Science and Kirk, they paid to have their ad placed there. And we won't talk about today, but one of our next webinars, we'll talk about pay ads. This is called pay ads or pay per click. And what they've done is they've bid it on keywords that people might type in. So what happens is when you type in a keyword, the ad shows here. So once again, that's called pay per click. Once again, that's something that people pay for. And what happens is when somebody does a search for your company, they see your web link, they click on the link, and then you get charged for that visitor. So let's say it's $5 a click. Each time somebody clicks on an ad and comes to your website, you be charged for it. But once again, that's something that we'll talk about more later. The next section here is this is the map listing or Google My Business. And this right here is very important. Like I said before, Google is all about showing people things that are near where they work and where they live. Actually, can I pause for one quick second? All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. But Google is all about showing people listings where they work and when they live. So they're showing things around you. So this is why it's so important to have a Google My Business page, because when somebody does a search, this map listing is going to pop up. And the cool thing about this is you can click on any of these links, and it'll take you to a listing about that company. So let's click on one, see what happens. And so we come here to this map listing, which is done by Google My Business. And what you see, it's kind of a quick summary of the business. It gives you their name, their address, their phone number. You can upload pictures. You can read reviews from other customers, and they can click on this and call your website. And this is a great feature to have. We'll talk about this actually in our next webinar, but this is a free service you can sign up for. It's called Google My Business. And this is a great way to get visitors to your website and also phone calls. So from their mobile phone, they can click here. They can call you. They can click directions, the Google Maps to your business, and also they can click here and go to your website. But one thing I really want to point out now is I said it earlier, but the reviews are so key. So reviews are so important online because people want to use companies that are good at what they do. So when you have set up a page on Google My Business, it's so important to make sure you ask your customers for positive reviews. So you see this company has a 4.9 out of 5, which is excellent. That means they do a great job with their customers. So when your customers come to your website and see this, if they're seeing positive reviews, the chances of them calling you or sending you an email go up. So once again, the more you can make your client trust you, the more positive reviews, testimonials you can have, the better. But we'll talk about this next class. But Google My Business is a great way to get more traffic to your website and more calls to your business. Let's X out here and go back. While I'm going back, does anybody out there currently have a Google My Business page? If so, just type in yes or no. Who on the webinar now has a Google My Business page? If you have a page, type yes. If you don't have one, just type no. So I'm very curious to see who has a page, because I'll tell you in my I guess travels or experience, there are a lot of companies that are not taking advantage of Google My Business. Once again, it's a free service. You're popping up high in the Google search, and it's a great way to get business to your website. So you have one, great. That's awesome. So if you have a My Business page, make sure you're asking for those reviews from your customers, that you're uploading different pictures to that as well, because it is so key, and it's a free, easy way to get more business to your website. Yeah, see, somebody says they have one, but the work on it is coming soon. Yeah, keep working on it, because once again, it's an easy way to get more business to your website. So you definitely want to set that up. It's one of those no-brainer type things. It's so easy, and especially on a mobile phone, it's so easy because you can pull up a company, you can click directions, Google Map opens up, they can come to your location, they can click call, it calls them automatically. So Google My Business is definitely a great and free way to get more traffic to your business and website. The next thing we're going to show is down here, and this is called the organic search. So organic pretty much means free or natural. So anytime somebody goes to your website, to Google, I'm sorry, and does a search, it's going to show these websites. And you'll see, maybe kind of hard to see, but in bold here, you see the word lawyers in bold. And once again, lawyer is a word that we typed in originally in the search. So what it's doing is it's showing the websites that have lawyer in them. So once again, that's why it's so important to have those keywords on your website. Let's go back. Let's do lawyers near me. Let's see what comes up. So once again, it's showing lawyers near me. If you scroll down to the organic search, it's showing websites that have that word in the title and have that word in the description. And let me zoom in. I'm going to show you one thing really quickly. Hold on. Like I said, doing a live search is always fun. Let me show you this. This is really, really important. I'm going to show you. So, all right, great. You can see it now, hopefully. Let's look at this right here. This is Thumbtack. This is a site you can get multiple things from, but you see what I mean? They have a unique header. The title right here is not something simple like lawyer near me. It says the 10 best affordable lawyers near me with free estimates. That's great because that's something that's going to pull me in. Because if I'm looking for a lawyer, I'm looking, of course, for a quality service, but I want to have a good price. So that pulls me in. And then here, this is called the description. And once again, it's not something that's boilerplate. It speaks to what they do. So it says cheap doesn't have to mean low quality. See attorneys near you offering low cost legal help with family law, wills, criminal cases, and DUIs. So once again, it's so important to have a good description in there because once again, it's going to really pull people in. Um, really, really important to have on your website. Um, Once again, this is a paid ad also down at the bottom. You'll see that right here. And once again, a really good title. It says, don't just find any lawyer, find the right lawyer. And then this says more information down here, profiles you can trust, client reviews, and so on. So once again, think of that Google search as like a carrot to your customers. So take the time to create titles and descriptions that really describe what you do. Because when somebody comes on Google does a search, all they are seeing is blue and white links. So make sure that you're writing something that's going to grab somebody's eye and grab somebody's attention. That's very very important. So let's go back to the presentation again. So I showed you the three areas already: organic search, paid search, and the map listing. Anyone have any questions about any of that stuff about organic search, the paid listings, or Google My Business? If you do, just type those in the chat, and I'll be sure to answer those. Thank you. I work hard at these webinars, so I'm glad you enjoyed them. Should I comment? Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the webinars. Um, but yeah, I'll just pause so quick, wait for more questions. But once again, um, it's kind of like I showed you in the first webinar. I did a search for my name, and I wasn't doing that to promote my business, but I was doing that to really, show you you want to dominate Google. So not only do you want to show up in, if you have the budget, the paid ads, you want to show up in the map listing, you want to show up in the organic listing. And I'll go back again to my example I gave of this is my fake phone book. But think about it. Of all the pages, the websites online, the trillions, the billions, you have to stand out. So the more listings you can have in your phone book in Google, the better. So having a website, having a page on Google My Business, having a page on LinkedIn, Instagram, all these sites on YouTube, build up more credibility for your business. There's more chance for somebody to find you. And that's really the key. You're trying to get found by your customers and offering more information, more websites, more profiles. That's the best way you are getting found. Got a few questions here. Answer these and then we'll move on. Let's see. It says, does length matter in a title? Too long or just stick to eye grabbing and unique? Yes, great question. So yeah, you can't just type all day in the title. Um, I want to say it's like 90 characters. Don't hold me on that. Google it and you will see. But there is a limit on how many characters you can have in your title. But try to use all the characters up there. But there is a limit. Once again, you don't want something that's two words, but you want to have something that describes what you do. So yes, still make it eye grabbing. But once again, you mentioned eye grabbing. People are skimming through, so you don't want to write a whole paragraph on your title. You want to give people a quick summary what the page is about, and then they can see that and they can come to your website. So that's a great question. But one thing that does matter is you want to make sure that each page has a unique title and a unique description. And what I mean by that is there are some websites, whether it's the home page, the about us page, services page, they all say the same thing. So when somebody does a search on Google, it all looks the same to them. So you want to make sure that each page is unique in a sense, because that sticks out more to people when they search. So don't just copy the same title and the same keywords on every single page, because that's not going to get you any more views. Question here, long one. So just so you know, many of us are at work, so we catch up later. But this content is crucial. We appreciate it. Sometimes we can't even comment on work PCs, but we're here. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I understand. I'm located on the East Coast, so it's 5 p.m. here, but I know it's times other places. So yeah, definitely keep tuning in. We're having these webinars every Tuesday and Thursday. But once again, you said it, this information is crucial because, especially when it comes to Black owned companies, just last year, 40% of companies went out of business. And I would say companies go out of business for a lot of reasons, but I mean, primarily, I think it's the lack of customers. And the lack of customers is the lack of marketing. So the more that I can teach you how to use Google and the internet, which is mostly free, is going to help you grow. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you find this helpful, do me a favor, hit the like button on this, and also share this with other people that you know. Once again, I think this is information that we all can use, we all can grow from, even if you already know it. Sometimes it's hearing the same thing over and over again. One of those things will finally stick to you. So I know myself. I've heard some of the same things over and over again. But the one day, I hear it again and I really get it. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for your support. Um, a question here. What did it say? It says replying to right. I had no idea. This was great to learn. Oh, thanks again for the love. Appreciate that. So let's get back to the presentation. Just give me a second here. All right, so moving on to the next topic, we're talking about reaching customers with search engine optimization. And I said that before, and an easier way to say it is SEO, but SEO is really key. And SEO is all about it's the process of making your website better for the search engines. That's all it is. So it's making sure your website stands out when somebody does a search online. And it's so important. And you want to be on the third, the fifth page, the sixth page. You want to be on the first page. So that's why it's important to have that unique content that stands out and that's different. Because if you're a lawyer and all of your content in your website says lawyer, you're blending in with everybody. If you type in lawyer on Facebook, let's do that real quick. Let's go back to Facebook. I mean, sorry, back to Google search. If you type in lawyer, let's see what comes up. So if you type in lawyer, let's see what comes up. Let's see. Make my screen big. Hold on 1 second. So we type in Laura. You can't see it, but I believe that says 572 million searches. 572 million searches come up for lawyers. So that's what I mean is you don't want to be general. When you're general, you're going to be on the 10th page, to the 12th page, to the 20th page. Why? Because you're putting in a general keyword, general topic. You want to make sure your business sticks out. So something as simple as saying lawyers in Maryland. Let's see what that searched for. Um, Still a lot, but a little bit less. That gives you 235 million. Let's try family lawyers in Maryland. Okay, a little bit less. Now about 300 and 300,000. So once again, the more targeted, the more niche you can be, the better. Because when you're typing in just a general category, you're going to get against every website online. It's really hard to stand out. So one thing you want to do is make sure that you're posting unique content. But once again, that's all SEO is. You hear that a lot. SEO, SEO. It's just saying, hey, when somebody does a search on Google, how high or how low do you show up on that Google search? Once again, that's very important to your business. And one thing I wanted to find too is some terms. So one term you hear a lot, that I say a lot, is keywords. And it's pretty simple. Keywords are the words and phrases customers use to find your business online. That's it. So, one thing I always say is think about your customer. What keywords, what phrases are they typing in to find you online? And you have to think about too, many times they don't know the name of your company. So they're typing in a question. They're typing in a category to find you. So that's it's so important to have the right keywords in your business and on your website. So let's do a brief activity. I want you to quickly to make a list of 5 keywords that describe your business. 5 keywords that describe your business. And if somebody wants to, you feel free to type those in the chat box. So think about if somebody didn't know the name of your business or the name of you, what would they type in online to find your business? Once again, quickly, if you can, hey, give me 2 keywords that describe your business. And when we're done, what I want you to do is think about once again the keywords that describe your business, and can they find you? And then also going back to the definition of SEO, it's a competition. You're in competition with your competitors for those customers. So when you type in those keywords, do a look around, see what's coming up above you and below you. If you see your competitor coming up above you, then you know what? Look at those keywords. Go to their website, see what terms and phrases they're using, and try to incorporate some of that into your website because it's a competition. So let's read off some here. Okay, says creative arts, community, wellness, mental health, mindfulness. Okay, that's good stuff. I would say too, just try to bring out something that makes you different, unique. But that's a very good keyword to have. Another one here. It says travel agency, Caribbean, African, all inclusive. Okay, that's good. Having travel is good. Having Caribbean, African is very good, and also all inclusive is good because I know when I travel, I like to have something that's all inclusive. So when I do a search, I'm typing in Caribbean all inclusive. I want the drinks, the hotel, the flight, all in one. So that's good to really describe what you do. That's really good to have. And once again, anything you can do to get more targeted at what you do, the better. But listing those keywords is very great. All inclusive is a great keyword to have when it comes to travel. I have another one here. It says home decor and art. Okay, that's a good start. I would get a little more targeted. What kind of art? What kind of home decor? 'Cause once again, if I'm looking for art online, am I typing in art or I'm typing in sculptures or Black History art or something like that? So that's a good start, but try to get a little more detailed in your search. Because once again, if you go to Google and you type in art, let's do it real quick. let's see what comes up. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a ton of listings. And I'm not saying this to embarrass you at all. We all go through this, but something like art is great, but art is a little generic. So wow, 14 million searches came up for art. So once again, art is good, but try to get a little more detail. Think about when I say detail, what makes you special? Because you're not just selling general art. You're not just booking random trips to the Caribbean, Africa. In Africa, there's something unique about you. So find that thing and try to bring that out in your keywords. Um, one more here. It says productive project management, business consulting, and contract writing. Okay, I think that's good too. Once again, if there's a type of business you work with the best, maybe list that in there as well. But project management is great to have. Business consulting, a little general, maybe a little deeper. What kind of consulting and content writing is good as well. So good job. But once again, type in those keywords when you have time and see what comes up. Are you seeing your website or your competitors? And that's where SEO comes in. It's that back and forth competition. Um, got a comment here. It says, "Good time to put in your niche." Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's always good to just see what's out there. Typing in your category, your niche, and seeing what comes up is very important. Because you want to be a leader in your niche. And we'll move on because the time is running short. But one thing I'll say is, when it comes to SEO or search engine optimization, a very long word, you wanted to show your expertise. And I'll do it again. I did this on the first webinar. I showed you what happens when you type um, a name in Google, and I'll show you that again. But it pulls up all my listings, and you see what I do. So you see me on Facebook, you're seeing me on different sites, and you say, "Wow, that guy knows what he's doing." So that's what you want for your company, for your niche. When somebody does that search, you want them to see you on Twitter. Make this bigger. Hold on one second. One second. Make this bigger. Okay, well, can't make it bigger now. But you see me on LinkedIn, you see me on Twitter, you see me on Google Maps right here. Um, you see me Facebook and so on, and you see my pictures and videos. That's what you want for your business. You want to make sure when somebody does that search that they're seeing listings, images to saying, "Wow, that's a company that I want to choose for service." So that is SEO. When somebody types in your name, your company, your product, you want to make sure you come up, high in those searches. So great questions. Let's go back to the slides real quick. Okay. Um, Before I move on, I'll just say this once again: take that time, get inside your customer's head, think about what they're typing in to find your business, and make sure you have those phrases and those keywords in your website. And hey, do this. Um, I'll say this real quick before I move on. Um, Go one step farther. When you have time, ask some of your current customers or ask one of your friends or family members to type in things to find your business. Because once again, as business owners, we get in our own heads sometimes, but ask somebody outside of yourself what they will type in to find your business. It's very insightful finding out what terms and phrases people type in to find you. So, SEO, why is it so important? A few things. First, it's so important because, like I said, it makes your website more visible. So, people searching for your product, for your services, or your business can see you. And once again, one of the keys now in business is all about being visible. So, if you can increase your visibility, I believe you increase the customers come to your website, they call your business, and ultimately your income. So, SEO is so important because it's all about increasing your visibility and driving more people to your website and ultimately to your business. The next thing I love about it is it can connect customers that are actively looking for your product and services. And I'll drive that point home. So the cool thing about Google search is people go to Google search when they want something now. Like they don't want to wait. They want food now. They want to find a lawyer now. Even if they're doing research, they want to find something. So they're taking action. So the great thing about Google is they're showing your listing when somebody is ready to buy. They're looking for you. So that's why it's so key. Once again, after this call's over, I want dinner. So I'm gonna type in soul food. I'm gonna type in Chinese food, something on my phone, and I'm gonna find a place and go to it. Why? Because I want it now. So that's why SEO is so important because it's showing people listings when they want them now. And earlier I showed you the three parts of Google search. There's paid search, pay per click, there's organic, and there's Google My Business. So even with pay per click, it's showing that ad for lawyers when somebody typed in the word lawyers. Somebody paid for that word. That's why it's showing up. So once again, it's like, have you ever called somebody and you're like, oh, I was just thinking about you? That's Google. So when that customer is thinking about you, your website pops up. It shows. And that's really kind of something that's different from all forms of marketing. So when they think about you, when they do that search, you come up. And that's why SEO is so important because you have that top of mind, that top of mind with your customers. I have a comment here. Let's see what it says. It said your suits are Denzel Denzel dope. I appreciate that. Tell the truth. Your wife picks them out right. Shout out to all the dope queens. No, my wife does not pick out my suits. This is all me. I got like 30 suits. So I'm kind of addicted, but no, she doesn't pick them out. But thank you. I try to look sharp. And once again, even on that topic, that's a part of my brand. So when you see me on a webinar, you see me in person on a phone call. Guess what? I'm gonna have this suit on, and people recognize that. I'm out in the store. People say, "Hey, I saw you online. I saw your video. I saw you speaking." Even when I go out to family events, I see certain family members and they say, "Do you always wear a suit?" And they see me like, in a t-shirt and shorts and they say, "Who are you?" And I say, "No, you see me in suits always because that's my brand. That's what I'm putting out there." So this is another whole class, but uh, whenever you see me online or in person, I'm putting out a brand constantly. I want you to think a certain way about me. So thank you for the Denzel comments. I try to look nice. We have a comment here. Let's see. Um, it says, "Does it matter what time we list our business as open as to how it shows up in the Google search? If you work from home and literally work 24 hours at listed time?" That's a great question. So one thing you notice if you do a search on Google and go to Google My Business, it shows the time. So it'll say opening at 10 a.m., 10 a.m., closing at 12 p.m. So I don't think it matters per se, but one thing it does, like last night, I was going to Target and I left the house around 9 o'clock and it said, okay, the Target store you're going to closes in 20 to 30 minutes. So I don't think it really depends per se. Um, but putting 24 hours, if you put that, then you have to respond to your customers 24 hours. But it is very important to list, the times that your company is open. And I'll say this too and move on. Even if you're not open, you're closed, you should still check your email after hours or have somebody check your email after hours because once again, customers, they don't care if you're open or you're closed. They want a service. They're going to email you about it. So you still want to make sure that even after hours, you have an after hours phone message. This is, hey, leave a message and we'll call you back. And, there's somebody that can do that call because it's so important to have that. So I'm not sure if it really matters or not what time you're open or not. That's a good question, but put your real hours down there in hours that you can respond to. But a good question. I would say Google it. I'm not totally sure if the hours really matter that much. But I think that's really I think it's more important when somebody's actually coming to your location. Because when I'm going to Target, they're open from 10 to 10. It matters more. So I think that matters more when somebody actually coming to your location. But good question. I'll look that up and see what it says. Another comment here, it says, agree. I agree. I plan to hire an at-risk youth part-time, checking my computer emails after hours so I can uh, hire them black and help my community. Yeah, I agree that is something that's very important. I have a virtual assistant myself um, that costs $10 per hour. And yeah, she checks my emails after hours. Somebody is always checking my voicemails as well because customers are always calling you. Customers don't care what time it is. They're sitting on a couch, they're sitting on their bed at night, and they're pulling their phone out. And really, a lot of times, whoever responds fastest is the company that gets the business. So even if it's at night, and let's say I'm looking for accident lawyers, they may be closed, but the first person that responds in the morning is probably going to get my business. So once again, that speed of responding to customers is so important because people are not going to wait and wait and wait for you to respond. Let's get back to the presentation. And the last thing, SEO, it increases potential sales once again by appearing in search. So once again, SEO is all about visibility, is about connecting with your customers, and once again, it's going to increase your sales because why? They can see you, they can see what you're selling, and they can make a purchase. So that's why appearing high on SEO is so important. So moving on to the last section here, and we're talking about ways to improve SEO. So here's some quick tips. So the first thing you want to do is publish great content on your website. So once again, you want to have content that's fresh. You want to update your website. You shouldn't wait and update the website every 6 to 8 months. I'm not going to tell you how often. It really depends on what you can do, but weekly, monthly, quarterly, updated with fresh information because Google, they give more credit to websites that are updated more recently. The next thing, like we just said, is you want to have page titles and descriptions. That's very important because that is what people are seeing Google to come to your website. And the next thing is you want to be organized. And when I say organized, I mean that your website should be confusing. Somebody should be able to come to your website and they should be able to just find out when you're open, when you're closed, via your services, your prices. When somebody comes to your website, don't make them have to search and guess where things are at. That's definitely going to hurt your SEO. Some more tips. You want a site that loads fast, and that's very important because if your site loads slow, people are not going to wait for your site to load. What they're going to do is hit the back button on Google, go back and find another website that loads faster. So you want to make sure your website loads fast. One of the ways you can do that is by visiting this resource here. I will copy the link right now and put it in the chat, but this is a free tool. If you go to it and you put in your web address, it will look at it and it will tell you if the site loads fast or slow or not. But you definitely want to have a website that loads fast. Some more tips on website loading fast is first, you don't want to have huge pictures. Make sure they're compressed, they're smaller because load speeds are very important, especially now because a lot of searches are being done on mobile phones. So make sure your website is mobile friendly. It looks good on mobile device, and you don't have pictures on there that are taking forever to load. So that's one tip. The next one is you want to produce high quality content. And I said that earlier, but having a website that's updated regularly is important. Having good content is important. And what I mean by good content is think about what you do. When somebody comes to your website, they should be able to read content and tell that you're an expert. So writing blog posts, writing information around your niche is important. So where that is, write content around that niche because when people view you more as quality content, you rank higher and they'll come back to your website. So just don't put up any content take their time. If you have the money, hire a copywriter, put some thought into your content because it really does matter. The next one is if you're not now, you want to start blogging. Blogging is a great way to reach your customers. Quickly in the chat, who in here has a blog? If you have a blog, type yes. If you don't have a blog, type no. And while wait for those comments, blogging is great. Blogging is one of the most effective ways to get customers to your website, and it's free. And once again, when somebody does a search on Google, let's say I do a search for, I don't know, auto lawyers or florists or anything, people are coming to your website for information, and people are typing in questions on Google. Last night I bought a new camera. How to install a new camera. So your blog should answer questions. So you want to write blog posts. They can be 3, 4 paragraphs around the topic that interests your customer. So whatever it is, whether that's baking, write articles about baking, write articles about whatever you do. So you want to write content around that. So make a list of what is the content, what are the topics that interest my customers, and write around that. We had somebody earlier that was a travel agent. Write about travel, write about COVID restrictions, write about passports, write about finding cheapest flights, write about the latest destinations to visit this summer or in the fall. Write about the topics that interest your consumer. And once again, when they type in those questions on Google, they'll see that blog and they'll click the link and come back to it. So once again, writing blog posts is huge. It can be time consuming. If you don't have a lot of time, one a month, one a week, it should be your goal. And they don't have to be huge. They can be a paragraph or two, but writing about the topics that your customers want is a great way to kind of pull them in. See a comment here. Somebody said they don't have a blog, any platform suggestions. Yeah, your website. So you can create a page on your website called blog, and under that list your different blogs. So if you're using WordPress, which is very popular, WordPress has a feature where you can have blogs on that. But try to blog on your website. There's another one called medium.com. You can blog there as well, but trying to have a blog attached to your website is very important because once again, they'll see that blog post, that title in the Google search. They'll click on it and come back to your website to read the article. Then they read it. Hopefully they read more. And before you know it, they're ready to make a purchase from your company. So having a blog post is kind of that carrot to kind of pull somebody in. The next thing is use more videos. And we all know this. It's much easier to watch something than read something. So you can imagine this webinar, if it was all text, you would tune out. But why? It's interactive, it's engaging. You can see me, you can hear me. So it's easier to follow along. So this is coming up in another webinar, but having a YouTube channel, recording video is so important. And it doesn't have to be really polished starting off. You want to have good lighting and sound, but recording on your cell phone, you have an iPhone, recording on your webcam, buying a camera like I have, video is one of the greatest ways to stand out online. And you will see now, if you do a search on Google, you'll see the text listings, but you also will see the thumbnails from Google Videos. So Google Videos is another way to stand out, and it's a great way to connect with your customers. We talked about this one earlier, but make sure your site looks good on a mobile phone. And one of the easy way to do that is taking your phone and typing in your web address on the Google browser and seeing how it looks. If you have to pinch and scroll and zoom to find information, if I hit your phone number and doesn't call you right away, it's not good. So look at your website on your phone and see how the experience is. And once again, if you got to do all this pinching and scrolling and zooming, it's probably not a good experience. So you definitely want to make sure your site is optimized to look good on mobile devices. Next one, we talked about writing good titles and descriptions. I said that again and again, but having good titles and descriptions are key because that's what going to pull people in when they do a search. And the last one I would say is don't make customers think. When I come to your website, you should clearly state what it is you do. What are your services, where you're located, your phone number, your email address. You'll be surprised of how many websites that I go to that cost a lot of money to design. Person probably spent $5,000, $10,000, and they don't have basic information. At the end of the day, people are coming to your website to contact you. So make sure on your website that you clearly define what you do, that you clearly have your home. You clearly have your phone number, that you have a physical address. Once again, these are the things that people want to see. And once again, going back to credibility, the more information you give your customers, the more credibility you have. And the more credibility you have, the greater chances are they will reach out to you. So if I come to your website, I quickly can identify what you do. I can see that you're in my local area. I can see that you have an actual phone number. I can see that you have an email address. That says, wow, this person is real. They're in the area. I trust them. Let me call them. So once again, when they come to your website, don't make them think. Don't make the website all over the place. Get to the point. Give them the information they need. They can easily contact you for service. And that's really the key thing. SEO, digital marketing, make it easy for people to find you. Make it easy for them to do business with you. I really believe companies win that are not only good at what they do, but they're easy to deal with. If I have to search and scroll and zoom and email and call you continuously, that doesn't work. The companies that are easy to work with are the companies that are winning. So don't make me think too much when I get on your website. So wrapping things up, I think I already did a recap, but I'll do one again. Um, like I said, Google is the new phone book, and I showed you this book before, but Google is the new phone book, and you know, a phone book like Google has many pages in there, but the more listings you can have of your company, the more chances of somebody can find your listing, click it, go to your website, and hopefully call you a service. So once again, half of your customers are coming to you from a search on Google. So it's so important to find and make sure you're showing up high in the Google search. I said, once again, think about your customers. Think about what keywords, what terms, what phrases they're typing in to find your business. And that's the best way, I think, to get started on SEO. Now, SEO is the big topic. Tonight, I did a really kind of broad overview. There's a lot more details to it, but I kind of gave you kind of the basic building blocks. But I think the first step is just finding out where you stand and, doing that Google search and seeing where you stand, against your competition. And then from there, you can make a plan. Hey, if they're writing a blog post on this topic, I'm going to write my own blog post on the same topic. If they have a video on this topic, I'm going to make a video on the same topic with my own video. So once again, I think the first step is to really find out where you stand against the competition. And once you find that out, then you can strategize and build ways to outrank the competition for certain keywords and phrases. So once again, in closing, if any questions, feel free to email those to the programs at usblackchambers.org. Also, if you visit the website, usblackchambers.org/webinars, you will find a listing of this webinar and a lot more webinars on various topics that you can sign up for. And always, like I said, people that are at work, the people that are babysitting right now, if you miss anything I said, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, or LinkedIn, this webinar is recorded. You can play it back when it really kind of slow it down and kind of see what I'm talking about. Also, I want to say this once again. If you find this webinar series engaging and insightful, definitely hit that share button. Definitely share it with anybody in your network and say, hey, there's this guy that comes on in nice suits that's talking about digital marketing and giving us tips to grow our business. But once again, thank you for your time. Webinar is over. We'll be back again on on this Thursday, once again at 5 p.m. We're talking about part two. We're really going to break down, really get into Google My Business and how to set that up. Because once again, Google My Business is a great free tool that can bring so many leads to your business. And once again, I'm here for every Black business. I'm going to help you win. So once again, tune in again on Thursday for more digital marketing tips to help you grow your business and get more customers. Thanks again. Bye.